Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, Power in Numbers, How the FTD Disorders Registry Drives Groundbreaking Research. My name is Carrie Milliard, and I'm the director of the FTD Disorders Registry. I'm thrilled to welcome you to this important conversation about how participation in the registry is advancing scientific discovery and shaping the future for the treatment of FTD. Today, we'll explore the impact of the registry from three unique perspectives: a registry participant who will share their personal motivation and experience, a researcher who relies on the registry to inform and advance their work, and a representative from the pharmaceutical industry offering insight into how the registry data is helping drive innovation in clinical trials and therapeutic development. Together, these voices illustrate the real-world power of data and the people behind it to change the landscape of FTD research. Before I introduce our first panelist, I have a couple of quick housekeeping notes to mention. If you find yourself having any technical issues with Zoom, please drop a message into the Q&A box explaining the problem, and staff behind the scenes will help you out as best they can. Our presenters, if we have time, will take some audience questions at the end of the webinar. If you'd like to ask a question, use that same Q&A box to do so, and you can submit your questions at any point during the webinar, and we'll try to answer as many as time allows for. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Scott Oxarart, an AFTD ambassador and a dedicated advocate for families affected by FTD disorders. Scott brings a deeply personal perspective to this work. His commitment to raising awareness and advancing research comes from his own family's journey with this disease. As a participant in the FTD Disorders Registry, Scott will share why he chose to get involved and how contributing his story and data is helping to drive progress for the entire FTD community. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I really appreciate that introduction. So hello, everybody. My name is Scott Oxarart. As Carrie said, I'm a volunteer for the FTD Disorders Registry, and I'm also the AFTD ambassador for the state of Nevada. So my father, Steve, was diagnosed with the behavioral variant of FTD in 2021, and he unfortunately passed away in August of 2023. Before I kind of go into my story, I just want to thank Carrie and the whole FTD registry team, and as well as the AFTD team, just for being here for this conference. The setup has just been absolutely fantastic, and there's just so much learning and so many good conversations going on. So I'm just really, really excited to be with you all. So I hope we have a good mix of people watching this. You know, I think when I first got into volunteering for FTD, it was really after my dad had passed. In fact, one of the first conversations I had with Carrie was after that. And I'm hopeful there are some people kind of in that same boat where maybe they don't really know too much about the FTD Disorders Registry, or if they know about it, you know, they're kind of on the fence on whether or not to jump in. So I'm hopeful that, you know, you're not on the fence after we're done with this. So my first volunteer opportunity with the registry came just due to my background. So I work in communications, and my whole career has been based on trying to make information that's a little bit complicated to make it a little easier for people to understand or consume. So when Carrie launched the second, like version 2, I guess, of the registry, it was my goal to take a look at it from a quality assurance perspective and really make sure that the people that were going into it and filling it out had the easiest way and the, you know, no barriers to provide the information, whether it's regarding themselves or for their loved one. So at that point, in that volunteer process, my dad was starting to show, I think, the similar signs of FTD that a lot of people on this Zoom are aware of. So to give you a backstory, my dad was a grill master. Like he loved to barbecue. He would cook steaks. It seemed like every Sunday that was our thing: steak, baked potatoes, and a vegetable. And then if in the summers, we would usually watch baseball on TV, and if it was in the fall, we'd watch football. That was our thing. And one of the first signs that he showed that really kind of made us question what was going on was he had some salmon that he was cooking for us, and it was severely undercooked. Like it was practically sushi at that point. And we asked if, you could put that salmon back on the grill, and he just kind of said, "No, it's good." Like, and he kept eating it. He just kept eating it as if to say, like, "Why? How dare you question my grill mastering?" He also loved to play golf. He actually quit playing softball so he could play golf with me when I was about 12 years old, because I was like 4'4" at that point. Like I was not a big kid, so I had to switch from baseball to golf. But he quit playing softball just to be a golfer, and that was mainly to spend more time with me. He also loved eating breakfast and lunches with his friends. Like he had so many different people that he would have in his retirement. He had basically people he would have breakfast with and lunch with all the time. He loved doing that. Once the FTD started to creep in, his friends that would usually meet him at those restaurants were calling me like, "Hey, how come your dad's not responding to my text? He's not, like, I left him a voicemail. He's not doing that." So that was one thing of change that was pretty prominent that we noticed. And the other thing was too is he was a master planner. Like he was like the decider of all the things that we planned on camping trips. He would stay up for till midnight, like the first 2 nights before we left, to make sure we had everything prepared. He loved football, and in Reno, where the University of Nevada Reno Wolfpack, he went to tailgates for 30 years. Like, I mean, he would make sure every detail was planned out, what we were cooking, usually chorizos. He loved chorizo because he's Basque, and so am I. But and then one season, it was 2021, the year he got diagnosed. I asked him, like, "All right, Dad, well, what are you cooking this year?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I ended up having to go pick him up and get his camper all ready, and we took it to the game. And all of a sudden, there was no like food in the camper, there was no supplies. Like all the things that he had done for 30 years had really started to fall by the wayside. So I hear stories about kind of this all the time in interacting with families and trying to bring awareness to FTD. And a lot of the times when I'm talking to these people, I ask them, like, have you heard of the registry? And a lot of people don't know about it, and they don't know how powerful it is. And I think that's one thing that we're really trying to bring across, is to make sure that they understand that the data that you provide it's so powerful. Like even if it's just a quick question, which we usually get emails about that, once or twice a month. Those just little questions and answers that you provide either as a caregiver or on behalf of somebody that has FTD, just the littlest participation can really make a big difference. And I go back in time and I wonder, when he was going through those little moments with the undercooking food and things of that nature, like, what if I had been in there? Like, what if I had been part of the registry at that point? What if I could have been providing that data? And I also think back, like going farther, like what if there was a trial that he would have been eligible for? Like, could that have slowed some of the progress that this disease had on his brain? But I'm kind of left in that position where I didn't know about it, and I didn't. And even if I did, some of the grief that I was going through, I'm not sure I would have participated in. But I wish I had. I seriously, that's one of my biggest regrets, is I wish I would have known more about this and been able to document and share a lot of those details, because now I do it 2 years later after he's passed, and I can't recall some of that stuff. So I really do wish I could go back to that point, because after the little signs and symptoms of his disease crept in, he started seeing the bigger stuff. My dad was extremely delusional. It was going from bad to worse. He was telling his wife that he was actively having an affair with her, which he wasn't. He told me about a sexual encounter with a nurse when he was hospitalized for gout, which did not happen. He went into details about murdering a bike gang member at a local casino, which he didn't. And then the worst one was he called 911 to report a dead body in his house, and SWAT team came, guns a-blazing, but there was no dead body in his room. So there was just so many times in that journey where, part of the grieving process is I don't want to share that information with people, let alone a database that, is just collecting information to, you don't think of it as, oh, they're trying to find a solution with this, and they want to understand the problems that your loved one is having or you are having. to really help better shape what the data looks like to researchers that could be offering some of these great trials. And I know being in the thick of it with a loved one with FTD brings about like a certain amount of emotions that are hard. I remember I would drive home after visiting him and I would be completely silent on the way home. My kids, meanwhile, were in the back seat, roughhousing, and my wife was right next to me, and they would ask me like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And I do think about like if I had that opportunity where I would have been in a better position to provide some of that data to the registry, I think that would have been a really good thing for me and also for the registry and the community at large. But I stood on the sidelines, so that's kind of my pitch to you, and I'll start to wrap it up. Like if you're in the thick of an FTD journey and you're dealing with the unimaginable grief and hopelessness and sadness, like sign up and participate. Like if you're questioning yourself in the past and trying to like figure out why you didn't see it sooner or why is this happening to me and having those feelings of guilt, I would encourage you to sign up and participate. And the last part is up to you. It can be as simple as you want it to be. It can be signing up for a quick question, providing just a couple quick answers, or it could be a full-fledged, like I want to get my loved one in a clinical trial. So that's my pitch. I hope you do your journey better than I did in terms of that data sharing. So that's what I have today. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Scott. That is a really powerful story, and we appreciate you being here to share it today. Next, I'm honored to introduce Dr. Leah Forsberg, an assistant professor of neurology and a researcher at Mayo Clinic, and also a key contributor to the All-FTD study, a landmark multi-site research initiative working to better understand the causes and progression of frontal-temporal degeneration. Dr. Forsberg's work focuses on cognitive and behavioral changes in FTD disorders, and she'll share how the registry supports large-scale studies, accelerates recruitment, and ultimately advances our understanding of these complex disorders. Welcome, Dr. Forsberg.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for that great introduction, and huge thanks to Scott and his advocacy work for AFTD, for FTD, for sharing his view on why the registry is so important. I will share with you a little bit about how, as a researcher and as a scientist, we rely on the registry not only for the All-FTD study, but how I've also used it for other studies. It's been incredibly helpful. It's a wonderful tool, and we are so lucky as an FTD community to have this resource. I prepared a few slides, so let's see if I can share those without too many issues. Okay, so I'm guessing you're seeing my screen, and it will now be hopefully in presenter mode in here just a second. Okay, so the biggest way that the registry has really helped researchers like myself with recruitment is recruitment with research studies. So the registry can do this in a variety of ways. The first and easiest, and I think hopefully the most straightforward to navigate for someone in the FTD community is by finding a research study on the Find a Study page of the registry. So any interested researcher who has a study that has been approved by your local institutional review board, which is an important sort of safety check to make sure research studies are safe for those to participate in to do so. Once that's done, the registry is able to share information about your study on that page. It's been, I think it's just a great resource for the community to see all of the active studies. There's so many. If you haven't been to that page recently, go look. It's an exciting place to see how many different studies there are. There are observational studies or natural history studies, there are clinical trials. There are research opportunities for caregivers or study partners or those who are supporting someone with an FTD diagnosis. The registry can also help with recruitment efforts by emailing people in the registry. So if you're in the registry, thanks for being there, so that when individuals like myself have a research study that we're excited about, that we want many people to know about, not just maybe a small handful of individuals from our institutions, the registry is a great resource to spread awareness, to share information. So, I know from personal experience that registry email communications about new studies that I've been involved with have had incredible responses from the community, which just helps with the enrollment process. Research studies, regardless of if they're a natural history study or a study for caregivers or a clinical trial, they're not successful if you can't fully enroll them. And the registry is a wonderful tool to help with that. The other way that the registry can help is that they also have a featured study section on their website. And if you're lucky enough, you could be selected or your study could be highlighted in this way. I think it's just another nice opportunity to bring awareness to any type of research study being done. And then the fourth main way that we've utilized the registry for recruitment, just generally speaking, is to have the registry add information about your study to their newsletter, which goes out to those in the registry as well. For the All FTD study, when we have in the past, when we've had some sites that didn't have anyone new to enroll on their recruitment list, the registry helped by, kind of looking at those who are in the registry within a specific mile radius of that center to help find local participants where travel might not be as complicated or as burdensome to participate. So strongly encourage researchers to think creatively and to utilize and rely on the registry. That being said, the registry is not useful to scientists and researchers and those who are doing clinical research if there aren't people in it. So huge thanks to Scott and others like him who have signed up, who are wholeheartedly committed. If you're on the fence, go take a look, check it out, sign up, test it out. I just think it's a wonderful resource for communication and for awareness. The other way that we've utilized the registry in the All FTD study, the registry helps us with communication. So we send out newsletters to participants through the registry about twice a year. In addition, the registry helps communicate about study visits for like the neurofilament surveillance project, and also we have a mobile app component to the All FTD study that the registry has been really instrumental in helping sort of remind and bring awareness to sort of the next visits for those in the study. We know life is busy. We know life is crazy for everybody, whether you're caring for someone or you're a participant who has kids at home and is in a study, or you're in the throes of sort of early symptoms. Life is busy, we get that, and using the registry to help communication, send reminders, send information has been really beneficial to us. And with the new platform upgrade with IQVIA, I think the ways in which communication between those in the registry in research studies or not in research studies and research studies themselves are just endless, and highly encourage anyone who's thinking about running a research study in the FTD space to work with the registry as much as you can. In the All FTD study, we have also relied on the registry to help us send surveys or collect other digital data, whether that's a scientific survey that we realized was actually really important to collect, but wasn't in the initial protocol for the study and then was added. It's a way that we can, solicit feedback and collect real live data at a time that doesn't necessarily need to coincide with your research visit. This is also a great way. We know your in-person research visits, especially for the All FTD study, are so busy. So anytime that we can, take things off of your plate from that in-person visit and do it at another time of year, or just allow you to do it from the comfort of your own home, your couch, whatever it might be. We are trying to do that. And with the new platform upgrade, I think, those who are participating in All FTD or maybe any other study are going to start to see us move in that direction more and more. It will also help us see, have you completed your survey? Do you need a reminder? And it will be a good check also as a participant. You could go into your dashboard to see, did I do that? I can't remember, and it will be there. We've also used it in the All FTD study to solicit just general feedback. It doesn't even have to be a survey that's, intentional data collection for scientific purpose. Collecting feedback is also really important, and we've utilized the support of the registry to do that. And there's so many more opportunities. I don't even want to limit the list, because the opportunities are truly endless, and just would encourage any researcher that's really starting any study or in the midst of a study that needs help beyond recruitment or wants to utilize the registry beyond recruitment, to reach out to the registry team to really learn more about how they might be able to assist. And I mentioned this briefly, and I just really want to highlight this because this is one of the most exciting changes with the upgrade to the new system is the portal. So thanks to Carrie for giving me access to her portals for this demonstration. But, this is actually a full web page, which I've just put into 2 screenshots here. But you can see some basic numbers about the registry, which is just nice. You're part of a community. It's important. And then you can see what activities you still have to do, whether that's completing your profile here. There's a list of external research studies that are going to pop up. So based on your profile information, the registry will sort of pre-populate research studies that you might qualify for or be interested in, and then also provide information for you in sort of a targeted way that they think might be most informative. So as a person who's considering potentially joining the registry, this new platform is great. The way that the portal is going to work is just going to enhance not only your support throughout participating in a research study, but it will just, I think, help streamline or make it clear other research opportunities that might be open to you and just be a great place to gather information. And I think that is all that I had for now. So with that, I will just say thank you. I will encourage anyone that's, considering this either from a participant or community member perspective to enroll, and also researchers to really start to think about how the registry can help benefit your study.
Dr. Forsberg, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing how the registry can connect researchers and participants so that we can accelerate, drug development and finding treatments for these disorders. And thank you for all the work that you are putting into research for FTD disorders. Our final speaker today is Dr. Stella McCaughey. She has established herself as a medical affairs leader in the fields of neurology, oncology, and immunology. Currently, Stella serves as the Vice President of Medical Affairs at Elector, a biotechnology company developing targeted therapies for neurodegenerative disorders, including FTD disorders. Dr. McCaughey brings a pharmaceutical industry perspective to today's discussion, highlighting how data from the FTD Disorders Registry informs clinical trial design, supports patient engagement, and contributes to the development of potential treatments. She'll share how collaboration between industry and the registry plays a critical role in advancing FTD research. Welcome, Dr. McCaughey.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Carrie and the registry and AFTD for inviting us to this webinar. As Carrie's probably told you, my name is Stella McCaughey, and I am the Vice President of Medical Affairs at Elector. I'm here today to share with you the perspective from the industry of the important impact that the registry can have, and share how at Elector we've worked with the FTD Disorders Registry. I wanted to start by saying that over my time working in the pharmaceutical industry, I have seen the way in other disease states the registry provides valuable insights, data, and capabilities to the drug development process. And that's just been really valuable, and it's been very exciting to work with the registry here. And I wanted to also highlight to you that when we work with registry data, there's no personal identifying information, and that data cannot be traced back to you. So your privacy is always protected. Today, when I share with you about our work with the registry and how we find the registry so valuable, I've really broken it into 3 different categories. And that's the ways to discuss the ways that the registry offers value. One is that the registry helps us to understand the science and clinical trials. The second bucket I'll talk about is how it is so valuable in driving awareness of the patient journey and the unmet needs that you face in the FTD community. And the third way is that your lived experience and sharing that is a mechanism for change, and this empowers the patients and families and individuals that are part of the registry. So if I start first with sharing an industry perspective on that first bucket, which is how does the registry help us understand science and clinical trials? There's a lot of power in the data that's collected by the registry. In this data, we learn so much about the FTD journey, the challenges, and the unmet needs that face this community. When you contribute to the data in the registry, you're helping researchers, companies, and other broader members of the community gain a better understanding of FTD. And this information is crucial in so many ways, which includes how it advances the development of new treatments. And of course, the goal for all of us, which is to find a treatment or a cure for FTD. The data in the registries can help companies understand things like what's the feasibility of running a clinical trial in a particular area or a particular patient population? What could be the challenges of running this clinical trial? And it feeds information into those analyses as companies are looking at that. It also allows for rapid communication regarding the availability of a clinical trial in a particular population, so you can decide whether or not participating in a clinical trial is right for you. In this way, participation in the registry may help speed the time from the beginning of a trial into results, which can accelerate drug development. There are very limited, efficient, and effective alternatives to the types of data that we have in the registry, which makes it so powerful. I want to share an example of how we worked with the registry. When we were enrolling our phase 3 trial in Front 3 at Elector, we worked with the FTD Disorders Registry in order to reach out and inform those that are part of the registry that had reported that they were interested in learning more about research or clinical trial opportunities. And so that way, since if you're part of the registry and you had said, yes, I'd be interested in learning more, that allows for a very rapid mechanism for the registry to then send you information so that you can decide if you or your family member are interested in participating in a trial so that you could learn more about it. In part, that work with the registry helped communicate the availability of our trial and to meet our recruitment goals. The next bucket that I wanted to share a little bit about is how the registry can drive awareness of the patient journey and unmet needs. At Elector, we believe it is incredibly impactful that the FTD Disorders Registry contains the lived experience of patients, care partners, and family members. There's no alternative that could provide us with insights into the lived experience like your participation in the registry can. A recent example of how we looked at this type of data is we partnered with the FTD Disorders Registry in order to understand different perspectives of patients and care partners on the impact of quality of life that FTD has had on them. And this work was then presented at the largest international FTD scientific congress, which allowed us to use that information to educate the community. We shared these challenges that we received from these reports from the registry with healthcare providers, researchers, and the public. And this was all due to that partnership. But you might ask, what impact does this really have? It's important because by understanding the challenges faced, the partners out there can better design research to address the needs of this community. And by contributing to the FTD Disorders Registry, you're sharing your voice and your perspective directly with those of us like us in pharmaceutical companies and others out there, researchers and scientists and physicians who are working to advance this field. Elector is continuing our partnership with the FTD Disorders Registry, and we plan to share another report around genetic testing at an upcoming congress. And finally, the last thing I wanted to highlight is how your lived experience can be a mechanism for change. And really just to encourage you to be empowered by the impact that you can have as patients, families, and care partners. By participating in the registry, this provides direct involvement in this fight against FTD. It offers you an opportunity to contribute to a larger cause. As a community, we can all work together to drive change, whether that's advancing potential trials, evaluating investigational therapies, addressing unmet needs, or raising disease state awareness. And I think this is really just a good time to remember the registry slogan, that there's power in numbers, and that your participation is bringing direct power and impact to this important work. Thank you.
Stella, Dr. McCaughey, sorry. Thank you so much for being here today, for all the work that you have been doing.
Oh, you went on mute. Carrie.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you, Stella, for being here today, for all the work that you're doing on these trials to make a treatment available for people with FTD disorders. At this point, we can take some questions. If I have the panelists come back on stage with me, we can answer a few questions from the chat. So while we're waiting for Stella, I have one that I think will be for myself or Scott. So is the registry just for people with a diagnosis, or can anyone join the registry? And I just want to say anybody globally with an interest in FTD disorders research is welcome to join the registry. And additionally, people in the US and Canada who are eligible for our registry research study, which is persons diagnosed, biological family members, current and former caregivers, legally authorized representatives, are welcome to enroll in our registry research study and share their lived experience. And everybody is welcome to have a registry account to access the dashboard that Leah had shown in her slides and be able to have information about ongoing research and clinical trials. So another question that has come up is, how can I choose how much or what kind of information to share? I can answer that, but Scott, as a registry participant, can you speak to that question?
Yeah, so sharing information on behalf of my father, I'm an open book. Like anybody that asks me about FTD, I will tell them the stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, the poop. I don't care. So what I like about the dashboard or the registry is it's able to, you really get to determine how much data you want to share. A lot of times there could be just yes or no questions, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but there's also portions where you can elaborate as far as you want to go. So that's what I like about it, is just the versatility and giving people flexibility in the options in which they want to contribute.
Thank you, Scott. I echo all of that. As much or as little as you want to contribute, just having you sign up for the registry is a number showing that you are engaged and you are ready and you're wanting to push research forward in this field, which is really important as we're talking to different researchers, industry partners, to say everybody is engaged here and we are getting a clinical trial ready population ready for when those clinical trials are available. So another question relates to if somebody has passed away and they have a family history of FTD or ALS, is it useful to join the registry and use genetic reports, brain autopsy, uploads, or scans for the registry? And my answer is yes. We, and the new platform that Dr. Forsberg showcased, we have the ability to upload genetic test results and autopsy reports, and that information is really useful as well as the lived experience piece, because it gives us more definitive diagnostic information. It just provides more information that researchers can use when they are trying to figure out and understand these conditions and develop clinical trials and treatments. So definitely join the registry if you're comfortable uploading those pieces of information. It is incredibly helpful. So I don't have any other questions in the chat. If anybody has a question, please bring it up. So one of the questions that I will bring up, so will participating in the registry directly help me get access to clinical trials or new treatments. And I think, everybody spoke to this a little bit. The registry does keep you informed when studies and trials are recruiting. And we try to work closely with the researchers who are in the field so that we can make sure that you're getting that information in your registry dashboard. It's also available on the registry's website, but we are also sending communications out to targeted populations who may be eligible for the study so that you don't have to sort through all the information to find the most eligible opportunities. Okay. Oh, it looks like the chat is disabled. Is that?
They have to use the Q&A.
Yeah, okay. So there's not a chat button, but there's a Q&A button that you can use if you want to ask a question right now.
Carrie,
then-
while
yeah.
we're waiting
Sure.
for more questions to come in, I would also say the person who is interested in or wondering if they should sign up for the registry to upload their partners or their spouses autopsy results could also benefit from registering, because there might be research studies that former FTD caregivers are eligible for. And that might be another way that if that was of interest to you, you could feel to continue to give back, share your learnings, and also participate in research yourself.
Excellent. So another question related to that. So do we have interfaces to connect with healthcare institutions so that data can be uploaded? And so the answer to that is we do have in the new platform a way that people can connect their electronic, in the US, can connect their electronic medical record by signing into their electronic like if you're in MyChart or Epic, that you'll be able to make a connection and then have whatever you can choose what data you'd like to have ported over to the registry, which is another tool that will be incredibly helpful to researchers, as we have that lived experience data if you're filling out the surveys, and then we can use that in combination with de-identified medical data for even more insights and planning for clinical trials and research. Great question. So another question that has come up, are there similar initiatives in other countries, and are data cross-referenced globally? And I don't want to put you on the spot, Dr. Forsberg, but I think you have the best, you gave a talk earlier about the initiatives that are going on globally.
Yes, happy to share. So there is a global FTD research initiative. It's called FPI, or the Frontotemporal Dementia Prevention Initiative. And it's a group of scientists and researchers and clinicians all over the world who are interested in FTD and have FTD natural history studies happening right now. So in the United States, there's all FTD. In Europe, there's GenFi. There's a group in India and China and Japan and Australia and New Zealand and South America. So it is truly a global effort. As part of that effort, everybody has committed to sharing data. So we are working right now to create an international database that has data from all of these research studies. As you can imagine, it's difficult. Every study kind of asks their own questions, and then you add in the complexities of there's different cultures. So there's different culturally appropriate questionnaires and procedures in each of these regions. And then the added additional complexity of language. And we know when you add in multiple linguistic persons, then there's also additional questionnaires that go with that, whether you speak one language, 2 or 4. So that also impacts our ability to immediately share data and create one shared database, but we are committed to that. It is something we are working really hard on because we know that it will ultimately help the Dr. Stella, I can't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry. But the pharmaceutical companies that know that to really solve the problem of FTD treatments, it's going to take a global approach. It is not going to happen just in the United States. It's not going to happen just in Europe. It is going to be a global commitment to research and participation in all types of research. And so what we can do right now is participate in natural history studies, which are all contributing data to a shared system that then we can help provide the pharmaceutical companies so that they can get the biggest number of people who are impacted with PSP or PPA or a progranulin mutation or a tau mutation or a C9 expansion to really get the numbers they need to be able to design the most effective clinical trials.
Thank you, Dr. Forsberg. That was a fantastic explanation of what's happening globally. I'd also like to highlight that the registry, we're a year out from our initial platform launch and we're continuing to build. And one of the things that we're looking at is where to expand the registry research studies so we can get those additional perspectives and underrepresented populations in to the registry research. And so that is something to look out for in the future. Will be coming I won't say soon. We're still working on it, but yes, definitely something we know is a need, and hopefully that we will have announcements at the next conference about new partnerships that we're working on in other areas. So we are just about at time. So we're going to wrap up, and I thank you all for being here in the audience, and thank you to all of our speakers. As we've seen, numbers have power, and your participation in the FTD Disorders Registry helps drive research, connect studies with the right participants, and accelerate progress towards answers. Anyone with an interest in FTD disorders is welcome to join the registry at ftdregistry.org. And if you're already in the registry, take a moment to log in and update your communication preferences so you receive information that matches your interests. Together, we are driving progress. Thank you for your interest in the registry and in advancing this crucial work. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Okay.